overwhelming experience at first. Ask questions, find someone that you get along with to ask them all the questions, so you can just be, on their side a little bit until you get used to the whole experience. Because again, it can be a very overwhelming experience if you're trying to do all of that on your own, right? Especially as a performer, dancers, you're having to learn the choreography, and there's such a fast pace, as we were saying before. This period in which we are on stage and learning the shows, and saying we, I have nothing to do with it, but it is quite fast as well, so it's a little too much too soon. So again, when does that happen, just remember these words, and just find someone and just make sure that you share that process with someone else. Yeah, and best of luck. Thanks so much.
Good luck with the feedback.
All right, any more questions? Yes, yes, this gentleman had a question.
Yes, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to each and every one of you, because the shows have been off the charts and a lot of fun. So thank you very much. I have a question and I have a statement. So my question is, I've often wondered how you deal with road waves, or something happens, with the boat rocking back and forth. What's been the most awkward or embarrassing situation you've been in when the wave hits, right when you're trying to do some maneuver or something like that?
I mean, I've fallen over when it hasn't been rocky, so when it is rocky, we do make adjustments to avoid that happening, to avoid injuries, avoid just any dangerous things. So for example, in the first show you saw, us girls down the boxes. That's a whole different ballgame when it's rocky. You'll be surprised it's not even that high up, but I can't know words. So we would make adjustments where we don't stand on the box. From what I know, all the people that have fell over, including myself, it hasn't been due to waves, which is really unfortunate.
You wouldn't think dancers are clumsy, but no.
Can I go with my next one?
Yeah.
So this is sort of awkward, but I'll say it anyway. So I found out Olivia and I share the same last name. And what's odd about that is I've never ever ran across anyone that has my last name.
Smith?
No.
What is your, I don't know. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe you're
I've
related.
never had anyone with the same name.
Oh, right, okay.
Same way and
Have you tried, 23andMe? Ancestry.com?
I have, but usually when they're second or third, I don't bother saying the first. This is so awkward. I was looking at the pictures the first day and I said, oh my God, there's Anne. And it's spelled the exact same way. What are the odds of that? That's never happened.
All right, there you go.
So we'll have to do a fancy picture after this.
For sure. All right, so you have a question.
Yes, I'm so interested in what you do. I have so many questions I have to prioritize. But as your ensemble or troupe, or however you would classify yourselves, do you personally get to have creative input, or are you pieces in someone else's puzzle?
In general, yes, we do take all the direction from the choreographer. They have an assistant choreographer, and they do sort of pretty much all of the choreography. They've sort of designed all the costumes, so that has come from them. Cool, for example, the show you saw on the first night, that was a brand new show in September, and I was in the original cast with a few from our team. And there were definitely moments where the choreographer, he definitely wanted input. He called it workshop style classes, where he definitely said, please tell me if that feels really wrong, or if you feel you want to go into something here. There are moments of freestyle. I know the same for the singers. Sometimes they have, there's probably a proper term, like in the end of Knock on Wood, where they're able to sing their own riffs and yes, so there are always moments of freestyle. Our salsa couple, that's all their input, that's not choreographed. They are asked to fill those moments, those duets. But sort of costume design, the bulk of the choreography, the actual songs, how everything is put together is all designed by the senior team.
All right, any more questions? Yeah, we have a question over there.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, when you renew the contract, sometimes do they automatically renew, or you have to apply and go through different cruise ship?
Yes, so if you're staying within MSC, normally it's just the case of, yes, when your contract ends, they will ask for your availability, depending on whether you would like a really short break at home, you're ready to go in 3 weeks' time. Some people, like Fede said earlier, knows he wants a couple of months at home. People, I think a lot of people in this cast, we are due to go home the end of October. They know they'd like Christmas at home, ready to go away in January. So you're free to sort of give that sort of timing, and then they will normally select which ship. As that's part of a bigger picture, they'll want to match you up with different people in the cast. Singers, they need to make sure all your voices are going to balance. Yes, in terms of all different cruise lines, they're all different companies. So yes, if you want to go onto a different cruise line, you need to be applying to them directly, going to their auditions, again, telling them your availability and just, keep going.
Well, in terms of audition, does it help to have an agent helping you, or is there any particular agent that helps to book the cruise talent?
Yeah, I think we've really got a mixture on cruise ships. I don't think for a cruise ship you have to have an agent. I believe sort of West End work, that sort of things, nowadays you need an agent to get into those sort of private auditions, to know when they're casting for certain roles. But for cruise ships, it's not essential. It's helpful. A lot of the reputable agencies, they have a lot of contacts, that they have a good reputation, so it can help. It also helps on the admin side. They help you a lot with the different documents you need to work on board. You need safety courses here, firefighting courses, quite lengthy medicals to be able to work on cruise ships. So they also can help with all that process. I've worked for nearly 9 years. I've never had an agent to work on any of the cruise ships I've worked on, but I also know a lot of people do. So it's worth reaching out to agents, because a lot of them nowadays are quite good, and they actually only take commission when they get you the job, which means you're still free to search for your own work, to reach out to lots of different people. And at the end of the day, we all just want a job, so sometimes it's worth it, if they get you that job, paying between, I think it's now roughly 8 to 12 or 15% commission can be worth it. So you can have a feel for with and without, but it's not essential for cruise ships.
We have a question over here.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys. Great show. I love it. And I speak English and Spanish, and I was asking myself, I saw you guys have people from Colombia, from Argentina in your group. Let's say that one of them doesn't speak English. How do you communicate with them?
I mean, normally we can speak at least a little bit of English, at least a little bit. It's necessary because everything is in English here. Everything, like all the safety trainings, all the everything. Actually, everything. Well, of course, for the singers, we need to speak English because of the songs. Everything is in English. I mean, we sing in Italian and French, but not so much. So the thing is English here. Some people don't speak so much, but we're still able to communicate, and of course we translate each other. And if there's something I don't know how to say, maybe he knows and he understands, and I'm like, what is this in Spanish, and he translates for me. So yeah, it happens. I mean, of course we have English speakers, and I mean, and we also learn a lot through the contract. There are many. I mean, you get here and you speak a few words, and then you finish the contract speaking fluent English, or also maybe Italian because it's full of Italians here, and you learn something in Italian, and maybe you learn something in Philippines or whatever. So it also happens somewhere that's interesting and nice.
Finally, I want to say that I love your show. It's my first time, it's our first time with MSC, and we love now MSC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so with the English question there, English is the main language on board, so everyone is meant to speak English. That's the central language. MSC, however, you know, because it is an Italian company, like Federico was saying, there's a lot of Italian, you know, you might, there's certain areas that beyond this point, English only, and you're like, well, I'm pretty sure that's Italian, but anyway, so, but it is supposed to be English. Luckily, we have proper English speakers, and when in doubt, we always ask Nicole, because she's got the better English, right? Where's Nicole from?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. All right. Just understanding what she's saying is sometimes a challenge, but you know.
It's just also it's crazy to see the progression in some of like our Colombians, our Venezuelans in their language, because they also teach us as English people from, well, I can say for myself, like we're quite lazy learning languages. We learn our own language and that's it. That's it. Whereas for them, they're obviously learning multiple languages and stuff, and we've learned so much from them as well, like them teaching us Spanish and everything as well. So, but the progression for them, like our guy from Uruguay, he spoke basically nothing, but his English has come on so much just from having communication with us. It's crazy to see. And he writes everything down, and he just makes us laugh when he says it sometimes.
Good stuff. All right. Anyone else? Any questions? We're about to wrap it up, but maybe with time for one or two more.
Since you've all come from so many various backgrounds regarding your international backgrounds, my question is, how did your professional training, did it meld into this? Was there a pivotal point, or was there a transition that you had to overcome? Or were you all on the same level professionally, even though one is from Venezuela, one is from UK? How does that work? Is dance a universal language in a sense? I hope you understand my question.
Yes, you're right. There definitely are differences. The training, I think from around different schools, let's say in the UK, we have a similar training style, examination board, so we tend to sort of come out of our colleges all quite similar. But that does change from around the world, the same as they focus on different styles. In England, we have a very sort of classical ballet, classical jazz technique as our first group. Obviously, the Latin countries have a completely different style on top of that. So we are at different, it's not really levels, but we do have different strengths. And, you know, that's also within our same countries. You know, we have our Colombian dancers that are salsa dancers, so, you know, their strength is their salsa. And then we also have Latin Americans that have still done a more classical training, and the same for us from England. Like Hannah said, she had a much stronger classical focus. Some of us went to much more sort of jazz, musical theatre schools. So there are differences, but exactly like you said, dance is a universal language. Once you've got that foundation technique, you can then be taught the different styles, you can tweak things. We're all learning from each other all the time. I think that's the same for singers, musicians. We're learning from each other's styles, learning from each other's strengths. So there's still room during rehearsals to balance that out. You know, we've got the set choreography here, so you know, we have a choreographer to follow, and we should try to perform that how they've envisioned their shows. And it's a team effort. We're all working together, and it does all blend, and we all have that passion and love for it, so it all kind of does blend out in the end.
All right, everyone. Maybe one more question. Yeah. No. Yes. Okay. One question.
What is
something that you've learned by choosing to sign on this contract and work, in this area compared to what is something that you've learned by choosing to sign on to this contract that you couldn't have learned staying in your home country?
I think I can answer that. The stage can and will move at some point.
I'd say it's also still working with all the different cultures, all the different nationalities. I know a lot of dancers